You are listening to the Fit Figure Formula podcast. I help female perfectionists beat self-sabotage and lose the weight for good using the Fit Figure Formula coaching program. I'm your host, Stephanie Riles, registered dietitian, personal trainer, and mindset transformation coach. If you've been struggling with all or nothing thinking, negative self-talk, or self-sabotage, this is the podcast for you. Learn how to get consistent and become the best version of yourself from the inside out. So let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Fit Figure Formula podcast. This is episode 67 and this is going to be good. I have already kind of looked over my notes and this episode is going to be fire. I already know you're going to want to share this with somebody. So get somebody in mind. We're going to be talking about people pleasing. So if you know a people pleaser or if you know that you are a people pleaser, this is going to be an episode that you're going to want to share to somebody that you know to help them out and liberate them today because it's going to be good. So you might want to share this on social media, share it in the group chat, or just share it to your favorite social media platform, Instagram stories, something like that, so that somebody else can hear this episode. So as perfectionists, people pleasing is very near and dear to our heart. And this is a lot of times because we are either taught to put other people's needs before ours, or we're trying to seek the validation that we are not giving to ourselves. So before I dive into this episode, I am going to just give you some announcements real quick. The Fit Figure Formula group coaching program, if you're listening to this in real time, is open for enrollment right now. Black Friday offer is already out. So if you're on my email list, you've already gotten a few emails regarding the Black Friday offer. So you're going to get a great deal on joining the program. You're going to get an extra month inside the program. And the first 5 ladies who join are going to get a bonus one-on-one call with me. Consider the one-on-one call like an SOS, because sometimes throughout 4 to 5 months, something might happen and you really need like personalized, one-on-one private support. Of course, inside the group program, you're going to get individual customized coaching, but this will be an actual private coaching call where we can discuss and really work through some deeper things whenever you need it. So you can put that in your back pocket when you need an SOS call. This Black Friday offer is also the last opportunity that you will have to join the Fit Figure Formula for 2025. So once this Black Friday offer is done, I am closing down enrollment for the rest of the year. And so you'll have to wait until 2026. So don't wait. If you already know that you want to join the formula, go ahead and check out the show notes and apply to the formula. You can use HSA, FSA, and also I have some third-party payment options like using Affirm or Klarna to split up the payments for the program. But again, if you're using HSA, FSA, and by the way, if open enrollment is now, y'all go ahead and put away some funds to join the Fit Figure Formula. Okay. So if you have the opportunity to do HSA, FSA, put down some money that you can set aside to join the program. But again, if you're not joining during this Black Friday, this is your last opportunity before 2026. So I would just go ahead and apply if you have any interest at all. If you know you need support with your mindset and your macros, this might just be the perfect program for you. I'm going to be diving into people pleasing today, and this episode is going to be so good. So if you have ever struggled to say no to food, to extra helpings, to family expectations of like how much you are going to eat or drink, or to everyone else's needs, especially during the holidays, there's a lot of stuff happening and we tend to have a default of yes. I want you to start making your default no. Okay. So this doesn't mean that you have to say no to everything someone asks you to do. It doesn't mean that you're mean. It doesn't mean that you're selfish. It just means that your default is going to be no until you really assess whether or not you have the energy, the capacity, the money, the time to add on an additional request from somebody, right? So if you struggle with saying no to food, extra helpings, expectations, everyone else's needs, number one, you're not alone. But in this episode, we're going to deep dive into how people pleasing shows up in your weight loss journey and why it's rooted in survival and it's quietly sabotaging your progress. Where those habits came from, how to set boundaries around your food, around your time and how to protect your peace during this holiday season. Inside the formula, I help women stop people pleasing and start prioritizing their health from the inside out. This is your reminder that saying no does not make you selfish. It actually makes you more powerful. It actually makes you more respectable to yourself and others. So let's break this down. Have you ever eaten food you didn't even want just because somebody else offered it, whether it's at home or if you go home for the holidays, or if you work at a school and people are bringing things in, or if you're a nurse and someone offers you something? Are you saying yes just because someone is offering it to you? Have you ever stayed quiet while someone made a comment about your body? This episode is for you. So this episode, we're talking about people pleasing. It's not just about not eating food when someone offers you, but it's about showing up in spaces during the holiday season with pride, self-accountability, and making choices that are in alignment with who you want to be and in alignment with your goals. Right now, the word alignment, that's definitely going to be my word for 2026. If something is in alignment, it's very clear and I can feel that. I don't know what that is, but I can feel when I ask myself, is this in alignment? It almost like grounds me. I feel very centered and I feel a lot more clarity when I ask that question. It's just like, it's clear, yes or no. So I want you to ask yourself this question more often. Is this in alignment with who I want to be? And is this in alignment with my goals right now? And that's going to help you so much to make better choices every day, but especially during this holiday season. So the holidays can really bring out people-pleasing tendencies. And if you are a people pleaser, I don't want you to look at yourself as being weak. We were just taught to be agreeable. We were taught to make everyone comfortable. We were taught that saying no or prioritizing yourself is selfish. We were taught not to be boastful. We were taught not to brag. We were taught to humble yourself, right? So people pleasing often starts in childhood. Think about, who did you get that from? This is one of the most powerful questions sometimes when I am coaching a client and they're deep in their story and they're telling me how they operate and what they think and what thoughts they're thinking and how they're living their life. And I'm like, oh, who taught you that? And it's like, oh, wow, that goes back to my childhood. And a lot of times it's like, oh, it was my mother or it was my grandmother and she always did everything for everybody else. And even if no one is telling you to, hey, put everyone before yourself, or no one's saying, hey, go people please. But when we live in a house with other people, we are influenced by what they do and what they say, and a lot of times by what they do. And so sometimes it's just like this unspoken rule that you are expected to say yes when someone asks you something, to keep quiet, to accept whatever someone else says. It's just an unspoken rule. So really think about, where did you learn how to people please? Where did you learn how to set boundaries? Did you have a good example in your life growing up about what healthy boundaries look like? Or were they toxic boundaries? Did you have someone who was really selfish and who did set a lot of boundaries and were mean, and you just didn't want to be like them, and so you decided to be the exact opposite, right? That can happen as well. So a lot of times women are taught to be good girls or helpers or strong Black women. And this is really a survival response, because saying yes often meant safety. It often meant connection. It often meant approval. And as adults, that same habit keeps us from honoring our own needs. So a lot of times we have learned to read a room, but we're not listening to our own body. We're not even reading our own body. We're not listening to our own hunger cues. You probably learned how to anticipate everyone else's needs before your own, and that pattern also shows up on your plate as well. So someone else is asking you, hey, here's that third slice of cake, and you're not even checking in with yourself. You say yes so quickly that you don't even think about actually checking in with yourself. And this really does lead to burnout, constantly saying yes to other people. It leads to resentment, and it leads to being very inconsistent in your weight loss journey. And so when we ignore our hunger cues, when we skip workouts because someone has a last minute request, when we overeat to make other people comfortable, we're saying to ourselves and to our brain, our subconscious, that I am not important. Now, if you say that out loud and just tell yourself, hey, I'm not important, hopefully that doesn't feel good. Hopefully that doesn't feel true, right? So when we're constantly saying yes to other people, it's draining our time. It's not leaving any room for our health habits. It is damaging your own self-worth and your self-value because you feel like maybe I can't say no if someone asks, especially if it's a particular person, a person of authority in our lives. And so that could be your aunt. It could be your mom. It could be your grandmother. It can be your husband, right? And so there may be people that you can say no to, but then think about those people where it's a little bit difficult. It gets a little bit uncomfortable because you feel like you should say yes, or you have to because they're an elder or it's your husband. So the thing about people pleasing, though, it doesn't make you more loving. People pleasing doesn't make you more lovable. It actually makes you very inauthentic, which is kind of like, ouch. Right? Even if you are gaining the approval of other people, they're not actually approving of you. They are approving of the representative. They don't even know you. And a lot of times you don't either because you are so busy making everyone else happy. You have built a life around saying yes, getting accolades, getting certificates and certifications and degrees and being on the board and being the leader and being the strong one, that you don't even know who you really are. And I don't want you to take that in any kind of shame at all. But if that just hit home, first of all, make sure you're sharing this episode. But number two, this is your opportunity to ask yourself, if I wasn't so busy doing what I thought everyone else wanted, what would I be doing? If I wasn't so busy people pleasing, what would I think about myself? How would I actually live my life? Would my life be completely different? Would I be an early morning gym goer if I wasn't putting everyone before me? Would I actually go and do a turkey trot on Thanksgiving instead of cooking for an entire army on Thanksgiving, knowing that I'm going to be eating this for an entire week or two, trying to eat up all this food that I'm cooking? Because a lot of times in Black households, we cook way too much food. It's just like, who is going to eat all this? And the answer a lot of times is we are. We're eating it all. And that's part of the problem. I saw something the other day that said the average woman gains between 8 and 12 pounds between Halloween and New Year's. Don't let that be you. Okay? So people pleasing is just going to make you more exhausted. It's just going to make you more resentful. And no amount of exhaustion is going to help you get closer to your goals. You think that people pleasing and saying yes makes you kinder, but it's actually making you lose respect for yourself. We always want to show up as the authentic version of yourself. The authentic version of yourself is going to feel like alignment. So saying yes to food that you don't actually want to avoid being rude, getting seconds because your grandma insists or your auntie or whoever it is, drinking more than what you want just to fit in, letting others comment about your weight, your size, or your food choices, right? These are examples of how we start to micro quit because we're placating to others. And it might seem like, oh, it's just for this day or it's just for Thanksgiving. And here's the truth. The truth is, you don't have to eat perfect on the holidays. And you don't always have to say no to everything that someone asks. But what I try to have my clients do is get in front of it. We're going to be proactive. You're going to go in. We already know the dishes that we're going to have at Thanksgiving. It's the same thing every year. You get to decide, what are the things that I love to have? Do I need to have the peach cobbler? I really want some greens. I'm definitely having some mac and cheese, right? You know your staple items. You don't have to get a little bit of everything. You really don't. And you don't have to get seconds and thirds of your favorites either. There's a whole mindful piece. I think if we do practice being a little bit more mindful, checking in with ourselves, seeing how we actually feel before we get Thanksgiving full, we wouldn't say yes to the second or third helping, right? And we would check in. So it's really important that you are mindful, that you're checking in with yourself, that you stay with you. You're walking with yourself and you're saying, hey, you okay? How are we doing? Are we tired? Do we have energy? Or do we need to rest? Am I really full? Am I hungry? Am I emotional? Right? So this is a time of year too, if you've lost loved ones, that you can really get caught up in the emotions of it all. Like doing a lot more mindfulness, maybe even journaling more during this season can be really helpful, because setting boundaries and stopping the people pleasing is really just about you having your own back, you listening to what's in alignment with you, and you having an actual strategy for continuing your weight loss journey. You do not want this time of year every year to be a problem. Like inside the formula, I give you a vacation framework. We talk about how to navigate the holidays. And especially if you're joining right now, you're going to be with me through the holidays so that this doesn't have to be you. You can actually lose weight during the holidays, because the holidays don't have to be a problem. I mean, there's only Halloween, which just passed, Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? So it really shouldn't be a problem. But the biggest thing is like the leftovers, the extra parties with food, the overeating, the letting yourself off the hook, a little bit more alcohol. It's cold now, so we're not like maybe outside or moving around as much. And then here comes January. And it's just like, okay, how many times are we going to do this? Like we know this same old song and dance. You do not have to do that this year. So set boundaries and decide ahead of time what you want to eat and what you want to enjoy without feeling guilty. Prioritize your workouts or even rest, even if that means not doing something last minute. So inside the formula, I give you a system and we map out like your health behaviors. Your health habits are really important. Your walks, your workouts, your planning time, your grocery shopping time, your prep time for all or something. And these are on our actual calendar, which means that when we have a busy season like the holidays, that we really have to sit down. I like for my clients to do this on Fridays, where they're sitting down, they're asking themselves, okay, what went well, what did not go well, and how do I want to course correct for the next week? And we're also seeing, okay, what's on my schedule for the next week and what scheduling conflicts do I actually have? If I'm supposed to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m., but I have some conflicts because maybe I have a little bit more like work activities to do, things like that, I'm not just going to drop the workouts unless that's what I decide to do versus it just happening because you're unprepared, right? So look through your calendar and see, okay, do I need to move this workout or can I just do a walk? Like what is it that I can do instead of just dropping all of my health behaviors just because things get busy? Because things are always going to get busy from time to time. And you being able to navigate that, being flexible and knowing that it doesn't have to look exactly how you have it on your calendar. I can move things around. I can shorten my walk. I can do a walk instead of a workout. I can, go to the grocery store, but I'm buying more like rotisserie chicken or, the little packets of tuna, and I'm buying more things that are just like ready to go because I won't be able to like cook a whole lot or prep a whole lot, right? So you really have to just think ahead of time and have your plan and have your strategy. And when you are okay with you and your boundaries, then when you show up to the holiday party, it's less of a problem to actually voice what those boundaries are and say, no, thanks, I'm good. I actually, I'm planning on eating this instead. One thing that we do in the Fit Figure formula, we do have a call on setting boundaries, and we talk about where did we learn boundaries? What issues, what comes up? We work through that. Like we coach on that. What comes up when it's time for you to set boundaries or say no? What fear comes up? And also we adopt some go-to boundary setting statements. This is really, really, really important. You need to have 2 or 3 statements in the back of your pocket that you can say whenever you need to. So you can rehearse these. It can be as simple as no or no, thank you. But it can also be like, hey, I'd rather not talk about my weight at the table, right? Like I'd rather not talk about my weight today. Or asking like, what did you mean by that, right? You have an auntie or a grandma who's like, being rude. And I understand, like, Black culture, we want to be respectful to our elders. But as we're getting older, a lot of my audience is 40 plus, like we're not kids anymore. But something in us, that inner child in us who wants to stay quiet and who just lets people run all over you and damage your self-esteem, you can ask a question, say, what do you mean by that? I'd appreciate it if we didn't talk about what I was eating today. Or if someone is asking you to do something at work, extra projects that you really don't have the capacity to do, and you feel comfortable saying, I actually don't have the capacity, so please ask the rest of the team something, right? Like, I give my clients a whole list so that you have these statements in the back of your pocket, because sometimes what happens is, like, something will happen and in the moment we're so shook and we're so shocked that we don't have the words and we don't say anything. And I hate that, because I'll go back in my mind and be like, dang it, I should have said this, I should have said that. And you can't always be prepared for absolutely everything. But, having just a couple of boundary setting statements in your back pocket, especially during the holiday season, you kind of know who's going to say something, off or whatever. And you just got to be prepared. This is having your own back. Okay. So, and if you don't have a problem with setting boundaries, kudos to you, because a lot of female perfectionists absolutely do. So, being able to decide ahead of time what you want to enjoy, prioritizing workouts or rest, setting boundaries and communicating, hey, auntie, I appreciate if we didn't talk about my weight today. Using some self-trust tools like journaling, deep breathing, walking away, learning to pause before reacting, having no or no thank you as your default before you just say yes to absolutely everything. Boundaries are not mean. They're not even really saying no. I like to say boundaries, when you say no, you're actually saying yes to yourself. So you're really not saying no, you're saying yes to yourself. You do not need to earn what you think is peace through people pleasing, through perfection, or through approval. Like, how can I be my more authentic self every day and notice where I'm just showing up as my representative and I'm not checking in with what I actually want or feel at all? When you start to shed those layers, your life is going to change. Now, you're going to ruffle some feathers too, depending on how fast this goes. You are going to ruffle some feathers, and that's okay. Setting boundaries doesn't always have to be comfortable. And I think that's the part, like, we might think that we're doing it wrong because it's uncomfortable. But how can you be uncomfortable, but also really proud of the fact that I'm sticking up for myself finally? That's going to feel so good, and it's going to get easier over time. And you're going to get better at feeling a little bit of discomfort and being okay with that, right? So this episode is not about, not showing up for people or not being kind or not being a helping hand for other people. This is not what this is about. When you are overextending yourself, when you really don't have the capacity, the time, the energy, the money to do something, and you are doing it anyway. And now I don't have time to eat lunch. Now I don't have time to go to the gym. Now I can't walk. I'm feeling horrible in my body. I'm not getting enough sleep. This is about your lifestyle, not just like a once in a while thing where you override your own needs. This is about a way of living. Some of us are living our life like this, where we're just reacting to whatever other people want to do. And I'm telling you today that you can give yourself the permission to stop doing that. And if you know that you need help with your macros and mindset, if you know that you want to change your lifestyle, and especially if you are still listening to this episode, it's like there's something about this that is resonating with you. And it is time. Here is your sign. You can join the Fit Figure Formula. I have had so many clients who joined and they just felt like this is just the way that it is. And I'm like, no, we can think about this in a different way. We can practice embodying and checking in with yourself. This is a lifelong journey. You're never going to be done with this, but I want you to know that you deserve to be a priority. And if you don't prioritize your health, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And then what? Who is going to take care of you? Especially for those who are caregivers, like, you have to take care of yourself, because when it comes down to it, if you have people really counting on you, being able to take care of yourself and others relies on you being able to set boundaries and take care of your mental and physical health. And something that I just thought of, I do believe that sometimes we will use people pleasing as a way to tell our own self that we don't have time. We will say, oh, well, I need to get the kids, ready for practice, or I have to take my mother to the store, or we will start finding ways to distract ourselves from getting the things done that we need to do, or even just workshopping it. Maybe you do need to take your, mom to the doctor, but that doesn't mean that you have to completely cancel your workout if it's during that time. It means maybe I get to move it to the next day. Like, it could be that simple, but I do think that sometimes we'll use the fact that everyone else needs me to get out of actually doing the work that we need to do. Like, be really honest with yourself. Like, be so for real. Are you doing that? Are you avoiding actually workshopping and figuring out how you can still get to the grocery store, how you can still prep, how you can still walk or work out? Even if it's not 4 times a week, maybe it's 3 times you're doing your workout this week. But it doesn't mean that like, oh, I missed my Monday workout, so I can't do any more of my workouts for the week. I have to start over next week. Right? Sometimes I do think that we wear this badge, and sometimes it's like, yes, I am doing a lot. I am taxed. I am burning out, and I'm doing a lot. But also sometimes we use that story to keep us from actually doing the work that needs to be done, or figuring out how you can make it all work, or how you can ask for help, or how you can delegate. So be on to yourself with that. Like, don't let yourself off the hook because of this story that this is just the way that it is and everyone else needs me, and if I don't do it, nobody else will do it. Don't allow that story to be the reason why you don't have your result. Because even if you are doing a lot and you are really valuable in your spaces, your home, your career, etc., you can still sit down with yourself every single week and figure out how you can still get at least some of your health behaviors done. Because if you're not doing that, if you're not actually workshopping it and figuring out like, well, what's going to work this week, because it might look different week to week, then you're just using that as an excuse not to get it done. And our brain is really tricky with that. That's called self-sabotage, because at the end of the day, you could, right? If everything is figure outable, and that's one of my favorite quotes, everything is figure outable. How could I figure out how to get my health behaviors done so that I'm not eating DoorDash and do all of the other things that I need to do, or ask for help, or delegate, or let some stuff go, God forbid. I just think I'm just at the whim of everyone else. Then of course you're not going to figure out how to get it done. Of course you're just going to use that story to keep you from actually having to do the real work. Don't let your brain do that to you. So let me help you inside the Fit Figure formula. I would love to invite you into the Black Friday offer. But even if you're listening to this after the Black Friday offer, even if you're listening to this after 2025, go to the show notes and you can still apply to work with me inside the Fit Figure formula. I would love to help you. So just remember, this holiday season, you do not owe anyone your plate, your peace, your body. You owe yourself protection, presence, and peace of mind. That is your power. I'm inviting you to take your power back. And when you do, everyone is going to benefit from that. So I hope this was helpful. Go ahead and share this and head to the show notes to apply to work with me. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to the Fit Figure Formula podcast. If you're new here and you're struggling with your fitness journey, I invite you to take a super simple next step. Click the link in the show notes for a free training. If listening to this podcast has been helpful, imagine being inside the Formula Coaching Program. You can apply for coaching with the link in the show notes. I hope to see you inside.